Hey everybody, we're back with part two of our series on blessing the next generation. And today I wanted to talk about initiation. Okay, what's initiation? Uh, Initiation is the process, usually process and often an event, that young people go through to become adults. You may have heard it referred to as rites of passage. Now, this may surprise you, but adolescence as we know it is a pretty recent invention. Prior to the 20th century ish, it really didn't exist, and it certainly didn't exist in ancient times. And in those times, you were a child, you went through a process and event of initiation, and you were an adult. And that was it. And usually you were an adult not long after puberty. Yeah, so, but we changed things up for a variety of reasons, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So, what does initiation look like? Well, in ancient cultures or in cultures different than, say, westernized modern cultures, uh, it's very different than what we do here. So, I'd like to give an example, and this comes from certain older cultures, but you might find something like this today in non modernized cultures. So, in hunter gatherer cultures, initiation would go something like this. You would have a boy who was a child, and he would go out with the men, and they would teach him the skills that he would need to use as an adult. And in this case, we're going to say it's hunting. So, tracking, making weapons, like, making arrows, stuff like that. They would teach him the skills. He might help out, like he might, I don't know, carry meat back to the village or, help with, gathering up arrows or something to that effect. But he wouldn't necessarily be doing all the work himself. That came at the event of his initiation. And in this particular instance, he would be sent to do his own hunt. He would have to find, track, and kill an animal by himself. He would not receive help from the men. He would do it himself. And usually, once he killed the animal, there was some kind of significant thing that was done. Depending on the culture, he may have painted himself with the animal's blood. He may have, he might drink the animal's blood. You see that in a few movies. Or he may have eaten the animal's heart. Often this is, the idea of taking the animal's strength into yourself, that type of thing. Which I know to us is kind of, ooh, but that was what they did. Now, here's the interesting part. When he would get back to the village, he would be hailed by everyone, that's a tractor trailer, not as a boy, but as a man. And in some cultures, his mother would pretend not to recognize him and would say, who is this? She would say this to the father, I sent my boy out with you, but who is this? This is a man. Now of course, she really knew who he was, and, but it was to give him the sense that there had been a real change in his life. So there are three things that I see here, and I call this the threefold path of initiation. One is that a child is given the skills that they will need in adult life. Usually it's taught to them by other adults who themselves have mastered these skills. They are then given opportunity to implement these skills so that they gain confidence. This is really important. And then, maybe most important of all, they receive recognition from the culture. Now, here in the West, and especially in the United States, we are terrible at initiation. We have two rites of passage in America. You get your driver's license, and you sign up to vote. Or you sign up, which is also signing up that you can be drafted, but hasn't been a draft in decades. And that's it. Now, those are fine. It's good to be able to drive a car. It's good to vote. But they don't prepare you for life. They don't teach you job skills. They don't teach you the skills that you're going to need to go out and live a successful life. And we often don't have adults mentoring youth in those kind of relationships. We've kind of said that's supposed to be the job of schooling, and it's not the same. It really isn't, because initiation is a relationship. It's in the Christian tradition, we talk about pouring one's life into another person, right? And so what we've done is we have created generations of adults that don't know how to be adults. They were never trained. They were never given opportunities to become confident and to feel confident. And they've certainly not received recognition from their culture. If anything, their culture has heaped derision and mockery on them. And that's part of why we're in the situation that we are now. And so it's so important, as we're looking at what it means to bless the next generation, that we practice the process and events of initiation. And that means mentoring, that means, imagination and creativity, and, being willing to get involved with young people and to help them to, learn what they're going to need out there, because it's a really scary world. Now, as I'm talking about this, some of you may be thinking of that scripture in Proverbs that says, train up a man in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that is certainly a very initiation-oriented scripture. I got a bug. Hang on. But what I want to say is there's a dark side to that scripture as well. And that's what we're going to talk about next time. Okay? Thank you all so much. I hope that these videos are helping, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.